In today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit of pattern work, and I'm going to share a tip on how you can go and divide your waist dot when you're sewing your pants and your skirt. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I am the distributor for Sure Design's pattern fitting system in South Africa. If you want to know more on how you can design and sew perfect fitting garments for yourself using the Sure Design system, I'm going to link two videos for you below in the description box. The one is where I actually compare commercial patterns to our Sure Designs patterns, and then the other one will take you to our dedicated Sure Designs YouTube channel, giving you more information on fitting and designing with Sure Designs. For the demonstration now, I'm going to be working with my Sure Designs back pants pattern, which is drawn up using my personal body measurements. Now you can see that there's some pencil lines. I've already just drawn lines where I want to go and place my new dots, and I'm going to talk you through all the steps now as well. Now, looking at the pants back pattern piece, you can see that we've got our one waist dot. The dot measures 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters. Now, when we are more of a pear shape, some people call it a triangle shape, where we've got our fuller measurement on that low hip, and we've got a big difference between that low hip measurement and the waist measurement, we can sometimes get a little bit of a fitting issue because we are trying to take out the excess volume that we have in the waist all in one spot. Now, by dividing this dot and spreading that volume where I'm taking out as a dot, it's going to really improve the fit of your pants for you. Now, the first line that we are going to draw, and I think I'm going to be working in a red marker so that you can follow along. The first line that you will be drawing for me is a center line going straight through your existing dot. Make sure that you go into your dot point, and that at that waistline that I've got equal volume on that side to the, let's say, to the crotch line, and then to the side seam of that line that I am going to draw. Now, as I said, I've already drawn my line so that I don't make a mistake when I am working with a marker. When you are working with your patterns, you're working with a pencil, which you can go and erase. Now, once you've drawn this line for me, we are now going to do a horizontal line, making sure that it's touching the tip of my dot. And this has got to be then at a 90-degree angle to that center line that I've drawn through my dot. Now, with my T-square, I do have these angles which will give me a perfect 90-degree angle. And then we also have our lines on the board that I'm working with. I'm someone that will always go and design on my cutting board so that I can use all these guidelines, so that I've got accurate lines that I'm going to be drawing. So I'm just going to go and draw my horizontal line, like I mentioned, making sure that this line is 90 degree from that center line that I've drawn, and I'm just going to do that so that you can see that. The next step now is to go and decide where do you want your dots to be, those new dots. And for me, the easiest way is to really, from this dot leg, go and measure 1.5 centimeters from that dot leg towards the crotch, and then on this side as well 1.5 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch. You can go and space them slightly wider depending on your body shape, depending on your pattern measurement that you're working with as well. But there's one thing that I want you then to be aware of. If I go measure my waistline, and I'm measuring it excluding this dot volume, and I divide it by 3, that third that I'm getting, I want to make sure that I mark it from the side seam on that waistline. I don't want my new dot that I'm going to create to be in this third section closest to the side seam. If you look at my side seam, it's curved, so it's already almost giving me the same effect as having a dot on this side when I'm working my front and my back pattern pieces together. So I really don't want this dot to be close to where I've got shaping in that side seam. So my lines that I've drawn, I just went, and for me it just works perfectly. I've done it for customers as well. That 1.5 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch from the existing dot leg, and that existing dot leg, not from the new center line that I've drawn. I just find that gives me quite a beautiful fit with my dots in that position. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to draw those lines. So I've just gone and created a little block around my dot. these lines that we've drawn is actually going to open up, and that will be my new dot position that I have. Now when we're going to be cutting, I'm going to be cutting through on that center line that I've drawn through my dot. I'm going to cut on these lines where my new dot position is going to be. When I'm cutting down, I'm also going to cut on that horizontal line, but I'm going to make sure that this dot point that I have there, my original dot point, is going to be a swivel point. I am not going to cut through on that section because I need to go and close my dot and open up this volume into the new dot positions that I want. So let's just go. I'm just going to turn my pattern this way just so that I can go and cut on these lines. And I'm just going to cut my vertical lines, and this one I'm making sure I'm not going through that horizontal line that I have. So let's just cut there, and I think from here I'm actually going to go over to my scissors so that I've got more control and I'm not going to cut through the tip. Let's just go a little bit past that line so I can just pick it up from there. I'm cutting to that point but not through the point. I'm also just going to just go past that section, and again making sure that I'm cutting to the point and not through. Let's turn it this way around now. So now what I've created basically is a swivel point so that I can go and close this existing dot that I have. I think I can just go a little bit closer with that. Let's just do it there. If you do cut all the way through, it's fine. You can just go and just tape it back together again. Now this is for me where the magic happens, and that's why I like this method. When I close this dot, automatically whatever this measurement is distributed into these new dot lines that I've drawn for myself. So make sure when you're going to close it up that this green line that I've drawn there, so that is my dot leg, I'm going to place it on this dot leg to remove this volume that we usually would go and sew out on the fabric. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm closing everything perfectly there, and there we go. And now I can just go and tape it in place so that I can go on to the next step, and that is to open up my new dots. I think I'm just going to place it to that area. So now you can see I've got a swivel point here, and when I'm moving it, I automatically go and create the volume that I'm going to need there. At this point, I do want to mention, while I still have my green board underneath my paper, you'll see I've got this slight little bit of a triangle happening there where it's actually lifted up on this point. So when I am going to move this, you'll see that when I get my 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch volume on that area, that these little triangles will basically be more or less the same opening on each side of that. So I'm now going to go and just place another piece of tracing vellum under my pattern so that I can tape it in place and go and redraw my new dot. We know that the dot was 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters, so I'm basically needing my 1.3 and 1.3 on that area, or 1/2 inch. So I'll just go and double check myself, making sure my opening, and I think I'm going to work this in inches so I can see that looks like a 1/2 inch. And let's just see if I put my one there. That's basically 1/2 inch as well. So you can see this method makes it so easy to distribute that volume equally between my two dots. And I think I'm just going to just tape it down on that section as well. And let's go, and I think it just moved maybe a couple of millimeters, but you can always go back and just undo your tape, measure it, and make sure that it's the same amount from this dot leg to this new dot leg that I've created. Now here I am going to go and draw my new dot legs in so you can see what it looks like. And I'm starting basically from this point over there. Can you see where I've lifted it up and where I've lifted it up on that area as well? If you find once you sew your pants and you put it on your body and you feel you want to drop a little bit more, you're welcome to go and drop it. It's basically just redrawing that dot for yourself onto that lower area. But for this, I found that it actually worked perfectly for me to just go to that tip that I've created by doing this dot manipulation. So that is now my one dot over there. My next dot is again going to the waist, and then on this section as well. So there I've done my 2 dots. Now dividing your dot this way, it makes it so much easier for me because automatically I'll have my dot slightly angled away from each other at these dot tips, again giving me a perfect fit. It almost just hugs the back of my body when I've divided my dot this way. Now, as always, when we do any dot manipulation, we have to fold out this dot volume so that we can go in through our waistline. Now here, some people do like to fold the dot so that they've got the excess fabric going to the side seam, and you can also do it to your crotch seam as well. I'm someone that prefer to have my vertical dots folded in such a way that the excess fabric is going to the center of my body. So all I'm going to do here now is actually just fold out my dot so that I can true my waistline again. So I'm just going to fold it out on that section, and let's just pick it up on this section. Now if you're working with removable tape, you can go and just tape this dot closed as well. I'm actually just going to keep it in place. It's easier for the video work that I'm doing. So you can see, if I've done it that I've just got to now go and just true this line for myself. So with your designing stylus, I'm going to pick up from my crotch point to the side seam where I'm going to get the smoothest line going through. And I think if I look at it like that, that is actually giving me quite a smooth continuous line. I'm going to draw this. Let's just hold it in place. I'm going to draw it in my red so you can see where I've got this little bit of a dip on the waistline, and I've just smoothed it. I can also go at this stage, I'm just going to cut it off. You would obviously go and add your seam allowance, because we only add seam allowance after we've finished our pattern work. But I'm just going to be cutting it on this line so I can open it up and you can see what my pattern looks like. Now that is how easy it is to go and divide your waist dot. Now again, this is my preferred way of doing it. I know there's other methods out there as well, but with this, everything happens automatically. The angle of the dot that it's creating and this dot point slightly angles to my side seam, everything happens automatically. I don't have to go and guess and maybe go at a too extreme angle to that side seam. Now I have gone and I've also just copied it on here so you don't see all the cut pieces, but you're just seeing my dots. And this is where I mentioned that it angles automatically. You can see that this is at a slight angle going to that side seam. This dot over there is more or less still in line with what my previous dot used to be. So it automatically just happens for us when we are doing our dot manipulation, when we close it at one spot and we open it on our new dot position where we want it.